Hello and welcome to my channel, and thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm here. Thank you for the new comments. I'm going to jump in the next couple of days and just reply to all of the comments that have been coming through. And thank you to everyone who's been reaching out to me and emailing me. The last two posts that I've put up have generated a lot of questions, and some of them are really awesome, but I just can't answer them here on YouTube in the way that you want. So I am going to be coming on Patreon, where I will be answering more questions and we can speak more freely, as some of my videos have been deleted. Okay, so today I am going to unpack and talk about something which I think is quite confusing to people out there that are in astrology or are new to astrology, and that is the nodes. What is a node? What is the north node? What is the south node? So before I continue and explain this to you, I want to keep this really straightforward. I don't like complicating things, so I'm just going to keep this video quite tight today. And I just want to make sure that everyone knows that I am a Western astrologer. I'm not really a Vedic astrologer. That's not my thing, okay? So that's what it is. But do I use and pull sometimes from aspects of the Vedic astrology? Absolutely. I pull from all things that I need to conduct the readings that I feel are the best. So having a well-rounded knowledge of mysticism, the occult, the planets, myths, mythos, all of that type of stuff, I love it, and I'm always open to learning new things. One of the things that is just in life in general, which I remind myself all the time, the more that I know, the more that I know that I don't know. And so I could live 1,000 years here and still barely scratch the surface. So no one has all of the answers, but some have aspects of answers which will help us. Okay, so when I get readings and they come in and they end up in email form on my astrologer's desk, I have a very witchy desk. It's got lots of pine cones and crystals and obsidian spheres and plants and skulls and butterfly wings and, interesting bones and things that I found out in nature. Like, I love Venus. I'm all about the power of Venus. Is that one of the things that mostly comes through to me is in the questions is, what's my life purpose? What am I doing here? And I think that's really the gist of why most people are really interested in astrology. It's like, what am I doing here? What this very mystical thing that explores aspects of the planets within ourselves and understanding the things that we have to work on, the things that we have to achieve, the things that we have to let go of. All of this stuff is all in astrology. So when we're looking at nodes in a Western interpretation of the nodes, which is what I'm giving you, is that your north node is an orbital point, as is the south node, that is the tiltedest or the most tilted point in the moon's elliptic orbit. Okay, so there's north where it's up and south where it's down. And it does take 18 years for a full transit of that to occur in the zodiac signs. So when you were born in the time and space and place that you were physiologically born, that is your birth chart. So that's what, when you come to an astrologer, you're going to bring your date of birth, your time, your location, everything. And what that is a snapshot or a blueprint, and I would say your DNA, or yes, your soul contract of your incarnation here. And all of those aspects is what we look at. As an astrologer, we go in there, we look at your sun, your outer world, your moon, your inner world, your emotions, your rising, the lens that you see the world through, your Venus, how you love, your Jupiter, where do you expand? We look at your Lilith, what's being undone here. So there's so many aspects to astrology. And then we come to something called the nodes. So the nodes are not planets. They are more of an abstract type of part of astrology. depending on where it is and where it's all in relation to and where its conjunction points are, will determine its potency. Remember, when we look at astrology and we see what I call double ups, where we have like 2 or 3 or even 4 placements, that is really kind of like a stellium. So it's going to supercharge that aspect of that part of your chart. All right. So I have a stellium in Sagittarius, right? So I know that's got a lot of potency. It's got a lot of power to it, but it also can be very blunt. It can be very harsh. It can be very like overbearing and direct. It can love someone by strangling them, that type of thing. Well, not strangling, but like not knowing its own brutality. So I have to work on that. I know that. We all have positives and negatives in the universe. Something that's positive or negative is always dependent on someone's point of view or what is in your best interest. So what is chaos to the fly is normal to the spider, if you catch my drift. Okay, so just in layman's terms, when we look at the nodes, the north node is the thing that you're here, that you've incarnated into to do. So think of the node as a north node is your guidepost. It's where you're headed in this life. So you're building a life, you're working on something that you have not done before. So where we are in our north node, usually depending on how familiar you are with yourself and all the rest of it in spiritual evolution, like I've mentioned, not all humans are all spiritually on levels of evolution. They're on a level, but there's different levels within those levels, if that makes sense, which you have to know that. And so what it will be is the north node in your chart will be what feels unfamiliar to you. It's the thing that you haven't done yet. It's the thing that you're supposed to be working on and get more of and build up in this life and face in this life, because we don't get anything for free. So if you are a north node in, say, for example, Aries, it all works on polarity in this universe, right? So if you are an Aries north node, then you're going to probably be facing things that are going to make you have to be courageous, that's going to make you into a leader, that's going to make you into someone who's free thinking, who's someone who has a strong identity, who builds an identity, okay, who's like a pioneer in something. So that's what your north node is. If you have a north node, say, for example, in Aries, then that's the guiding point of what you're meant to be doing in this incarnation. All right, so that's your transformative life path. And so you have to earn that north node. Nothing's free. So you have to face the thing to get the power. No one gets strong without lifting a single weight. Do you know what I mean? Hope that made sense. I hope that made sense. Okay, so your south node is the thing, that's the path that we are moving away from. It's the thing that we're leaving behind. So it's essentially the thing that we've already completed. It's the thing that we've built up. And sometimes people have very heavy south nodes, which means to me, when I look at that in their chart, it's like you can't rest on those laurels. You've done that in a past life. You've done the Taurus thing. You've done the nesting. You've worked at the bank. You never drove outside of your little hometown, that type of thing. This incarnation, you're here to get out of that. You're moving in the opposite of that. So with nodes, they will be in oppositions with each other on the chart, literally. All right. So remember, it's always polarity is the thing that creates balance and structure. So in the houses and in the signs, all of them have opposites. So Capricorn's opposite in the 10th house is the 4th house in Cancer. Gemini's opposite in the 3rd house is the 9th house in Sagittarius. Aries, of course, the baby, the 1st house. Its opposite is the passive Libra, the wallpaper. No offense, Libra. And then we've got Scorpio in the 8th house, which is like regeneration, death, and all that heavy duty stuff, beginnings and endings. And that's playing out against its opposition in Taurus, which would be money, affluence, materiality, self-worth, that type of thing. Pisces, of course, is the 12th house. It's the closest thing away out in the cosmos. That's the spiritual, that's Jesus stuff, psychic abilities. and its opposite is regimented in self-improvement and negativity, which is its equal opposition, which would be in the sixth house of Virgo. Aquarius's opposite, of course, is Leo. Aquarius is all about others and community groups, visions, and of course, Leo in the fifth house is all about self and self-expression and creativity and the ego. So everything works in polarity. So if you've got a north node in one opposition, its opposition will usually be in its opposition on the other side of that part of itself, of its chart. I have mentioned before, when it comes to sun signs, I have noticed as an astrologer, I've picked up on something I want to share, is that we do have bleed overs. So yeah, sometimes I have that crazy fucking Gemini stuff going on. My communication is really quick. You know, I can type something so quick, my fingers are moving faster before the computer screen can catch up. Like so I've got to slow down. You know, we learn from our oppositions a lot as well. I don't jump into things. I've got to think things through more clearly, right? Multitasking I can do, but it's not really my thing. I do one thing really, really, really well, and then I focus on mastering that. Then I move on to the next thing. So that's my lesson that I have to learn from my opposition within myself. Okay, so think of it that way. So whatever the opposition of what something is where the north and the south nodes are, and that's what we transform through. All right, so the north and south nodes are also connected with karma and dharma. And I did mention in a previous video that we build up karmic residue, or we build up our ethereal body as we move through different incarnations. So that's what it is, right? So everything's always going to be in synchronicity, and oppositions and balance and duality is part of nature, I guess. It's part of the human psyche. So usually when someone is sick or unwell, it's because they're in some level of disharmony within themselves. They're not in a place that's balanced. All right, so North Node is where we're moving towards in this life. It's what we have to master. That's our default position. And that's where, you know, a lot of values sit in the North Node, because like how we value our moral code, our compass. Think of like Jiminy Cricket, you know, like the guide, the JC, Jesus Christ on your shoulder. And then the South Node is where you were. That's what you've come from. That's kind of not necessarily what you've left behind. So without confusing you too much, we go through multiple lifetimes and have multiple incarnations at different times. But yes, a human can only occupy one consciousness at one time. So for example, if I had all the other consciousnesses of all the other humans that I was before I became into this being that I am now, I would be absolutely batshit crazy. It would be completely overwhelming to hold all of that consciousness within this being. A lot of people do have memory from past life. Luckily, I do. A lot of stuff I brought across from my South Node. I won't say it here on this channel. I think some people have guessed it, but I bring a lot. I have brought a lot of that from my past life into this. So I just had the memory of that. So yes, memory from past life will be associated with the South Node. Also, a quick cheat sheet as well. When we look at synastry charts, and I like looking at charts, if you've got your partner's chart and you want me to look at both of your charts side by side, totally cool, up for doing that. What I usually do find with humans is that if their South nodes are in harmony in this lifetime, the other person, their partner, will feel familiar to them in this lifetime. Okay, so it's really common that if your past life in your South Node, where you came from, what is in harmony with the person that you're attracted to in this life, more than likely it's because it was a past life connection with that person, but it's the familiarity of what was comfortable to you because it's what you knew in that last life, in that incarnation of that sign, with their sign. I know that's confusing. I hope I didn't say. But yeah, so you'll also see that I have noticed with some of the signs, maybe I'll give you a clue, maybe maybe it's the crab, maybe it's little Cancer, the little crustacean, little baby crabs. Some of those cancers, they often go towards other cancers. I've seen a lot of Cancer people falling in love with another Cancerian in this life because it feels like home. And when I look at their charts, other than not, you'll see it. I'll see it. I'll notice it. So familiarity is very, very real, especially when we look at the nodes. All right, so that's what it is. So both have gifts. Some of astrologers will look at the nodes and ignore them because they're like, unless the node's attached to a transit, or unless it's in conjunct with the sun or the moon, or unless it's like sitting on something, they won't even look at it and assess the node. And that's totally understandable. For me, I like to go in there. If it's asked of, I'll look at the nodes. Otherwise, I will more focus on the planets in my astrological assessments. But if you ask me to look at your nodes and you want to put some details in and you're asking me for a reading, I'm happy to go in there and look at where you are, where you're going. So other than not, mostly what happens is people come to me and say, what am I doing? What's my purpose? Well, the planets will always tell us that. And of course, the houses they play out is how that's going to play out for you. All right. Depending, of course, on all of the angles and the degrees and the trines and the stelliums. And I'll talk about those in other videos. But yes, your nodes are important, just as everything else is very, very important to you. Okay, so I hope this all makes sense. I find this quite fascinating, actually. So yeah, I just thought I would jump on and share this with you today. And it's always interesting to look at where your node is sitting. Where's your node? Do you have a node that I want to know about? Tell me where your south and north nodes are. What are you going to? What are you supposed to do in this life? What are you meant to experience? So what are you meant to master in your destiny? So yeah, there you go. I hope that made sense. So lots and lots of love. I hope that you've enjoyed this quick chat. Try to keep this really super fast. And always awesome. Please go ahead and book me for an astrological chart reading. I love doing these readings. I really enjoy doing it. I never get sick of it. I love it. I'm so into it. It's like I have a bit of an affair with astrology. Yes. All right. Lots of love, and I'll see you in the next video. I think maybe I will do a few more videos like this. Maybe we'll look at the fortune in astrology, maybe, or we'll talk about trines, maybe, whichever. Let me know what you'd like me to do next in the comments, and I will be getting back to the comments that were made on the last two videos that I've done. They were a bit more heavy duty, so I decided to kind of keep this one a little bit more lighter in nature. So bye guys, bye.